We play for keeps, Cuddy. You ain't heard about the huddle fire with no with D-Lane. We tryna get it off the muscle. Walters caught the pick and ran it back without a tussle. Blow the whistle, coach is trying to get back to the huddle.
Welcome to the 510 Huddle podcast. It's your boy, Coach D Lane. I'm in the building with my guy, my brother, Coach Keaton. How you doing tonight, brother?
I'm doing well, brother, and how are you doing?
Oh man, I can't complain. Another crazy, wild week of football, man.
hmm
We're gonna start off with Monday Night Football. We got a little bit of Power Five rankings for you again. Our weekly Power Five. We're gonna move it to this Monday podcast, and then we're also gonna talk a little bit about our Flaming Five, man. We went 3-2. It was a little tough weekend for us. We was definitely, it was okay weekend. We was definitely confident in the ticket. I know I just told brother off air. I think moving forward, my formula for betting, at least for the team bets on the weekends, I think I'm gonna go three college, three NFL, because I did a 6 leg parlay this weekend. I went 4-2, and I did some college in there. I think I'm gonna start going 3-3, but we're gonna talk about that as well, brother.
All right, sounds good
Let's
to me.
start. Let's start off with this Monday night game, man. Rams go to San Francisco, lose a divisional game. Uh, Ugly performance for Stafford. Would say the same for McVay. I would say this: the Rams, man. It looks like to me, brother. At the end of the day, they're just too Cooper Cup dependent, man. Higby was second in targets with damn near double digit targets. That just can't happen. Like if they want to, I believe at the end of the day, if the Rams want to have action and be in football games versus the better playoff caliber football teams this year, they have to be able to get Allen Robinson involved and they have to be able to get some semblance of a run game. Tonight they struggled. Cam Akers, I don't believe he even crossed the 20-yard thresh mark. So they got to be able to get some type of run game, not be as Cooper Cup dependent, and get Allen Robinson involved if they want to have action versus these playoff caliber teams.
Well, to piggyback off of that point, honestly, I don't know if it was just me, but I'm glad that they brought it up on the broadcast. I noticed it from game one. Cooper Cup looks worn out. He's still creating
A lot of
separation.
hands on the knees, right? A lot of hands on the knees in
And it's
between
not
plays
just
for him.
that. To me, it's just the way that he's moving. Like
Yeah.
he looks tired. Like last year was a lot of wear and tear and punishment. So I think overall, to just preserve your best player, especially for that stretch run, you have to get the other guys involved. And I'm a person where if your best player is hot, you keep giving him the ball. But right now, he's really not hurting defenses because he's just a chain mover right now. He's not a big play guy right now, and I think a lot of that is because he's just worn out.
Um, yeah, no, I agree with that. They simply just can't win multiple ways.
No.
It looks like right now. Like I said, they can't get the run game going. They only average 3.2 on the ground tonight. And I could honestly say the same thing for Kyle as well, man. I believe D'Amico Ryans, Hufunga, and that defense really bailed out subpar okay play calling performance from Jimmy. I mean from Kyle. Excuse me. And then Jimmy, had a typical regular Jimmy day. The one deep throw that he threw to Debo, where Debo did he score on that one? Yeah, yeah, yeah. With the long touchdown screen that or across the middle of that Debo caught, that was a terrible throw. Bad high ball. I mean, it probably would have got picked off if he threw it lower though, but it was just an inaccurate throw. So Jimmy was doing Jimmy like things. Wilson ran the ball pretty tough and nice tonight. I did like to see that. But Ayuk, man, got to continue to get him more involved. I believe he had 3 catches in the first half, finished the game with 4 catches. And then Kittle, I understand it. I know I was going back and forth earlier with some guys in the group chat as far as having Kittle blocking so much and Kittle not being able to go out for routes as much as you would like for a tight end. But I told him at least as far as tonight with Trent Williams being out, I understand it and get it from a coaching perspective. Having that extra guy in to help block and chip, especially with a D line that features Aaron Donald. but you still gotta be able to find some type of balance and ways to get Kittle the ball. Like I knew they was gonna come out second half and get him the ball early, and I think he did on the first, second, third play of the opening drive of the second half. But other than that, it wasn't. It didn't seem like nothing was really scripted for Kittle. You could tell it was a night where he was staying and block to help the loss of Trent Williams.
All I can say is this: the 49ers, to me, are the more talented team on offense and also defense. And they, as long as they, as long as they can just hold on, I truly believe that they'll get this stuff figured out. I'm not really that worried about them. And that's all that I have to say about that. As for the Rams, I think what I brought up going into the year with them, with my trepidation, was I think that this was the year that their top heaviness was finally going to catch up with them. And early on this season, it is, especially when you're so top heavy and it's just at like a few, like it's even more top heavy than in years past. A lot of their key contributors from years past have basically moved on, and it's basically Aaron Donald, Cooper Kupp, Matt Stafford, and Jay Ram basically. And that offensive line is still a work in progress. And I'm iffy on the Rams. They're lucky that they're in the NFC. Because if they weren't, then I would say that they're in real trouble. But I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, they're at like a 4 or 5 just because they're in the NFC.
Got you. You got anything else on that game, brother?
No, that's it.
That we got some other games we want to talk about, man. Really want one other game, but most of the games we want to talk about are a part of our Flaming Five. So that's where we're gonna start, man. Because like I said, we went 3-2 this weekend. Was real confident in our slip. Again, we had the Jets covering at the Steelers. They did. We had the Jags covering in Philly. They almost did. Came out hot. Didn't end up covering. Had the Browns covering at Atlanta. They did Brown like things, catted off and bullshitted at the end. Then we had Dallas covering versus the Commanders. They handled business, and we had the Chiefs covering versus the Bucks. I want to start here though, brother, because
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure you want to start here too, just because this kid is spectacular, man. He's the greatest thing I've ever seen. I told somebody this on Twitter, man. I've been watching and playing football for a long time, majority of my life. Majority, like most of my years walking on this planet, has been around football. I've never seen nobody move and do. Same thing with Lamar Jackson, especially as far as how he moves on the field, more so when he's running. But as far as just overall play, especially at the quarterback position, I've never seen nobody do some of the shit I've seen Patrick Mahomes do. That dude
No.
is just unreal. Unreal. He's an alien, bro. He's not from here. He's not from here.
Well,
What's
that's
your
why I
thoughts on
rated
that
him
Chiefs
one.
Bucks game, brother? Yeah.
Well, that's why I really rated him one, because he's just different. And you can't really quantify him on, like, truly, like you really can't. I know Brady threw for more yards and all that, but there's no way a rational human other than probably our guy Skip Bayless could sit there and watch both of them play and say that Tom Brady was the better player.
Brother,
There's absolutely no way.
guess what number you think Skip's gonna refer to tomorrow morning or today? He probably did it today. Yeah, he's gonna refer to
Um,
that damn fucking quarterback rating. Cause
oh
I'm
yeah,
looking at it
for
right
sure.
now.
QB.
It was 114 for Tom and it was
Oh yeah,
97
that
for
pass rating. Yeah.
yeah, passer rating for Pat. And I'm like, bro, I don't give a damn. If you watch that game, anybody that watched that game, you can say Pat was in full control, man. He was.
And
Oh, you know
QBR
what? He
said,
threw that. He did throw that bad late pick. That probably dinged him a few points, but still, man, that those ratings are flu.
but
Flu.
QBR said differently. I think Pat had like 91 and Tom had like 74. But
Yeah.
anyways, he's just different. That's why I picked them to win it all this year, because I think he's really embarrassed with how last year ended for him. And I know in his heart of hearts he'll never say it, But he knows that in that Super Bowl when they played the Bucks, that he was hurt and they were hurt. He knows in his heart of hearts that if even with his offensive line, if he was healthy, that score wouldn't have been what it was at the very least. And credit to the Chiefs also. They came out with a great game plan. It looks like Andy Reid was calling more of the plays in this game also. So it had more of a flow. And also the Bucks defense, every time I want to embrace them, it's like the things that I had trepidations about before kind of come to life. But I'll give them a slight pass just because it was against Mahomes and that offense and they were focused. But all I got to say is this: if they meet up again, if both teams are healthy, I don't think the result would be any different.
Oh, I don't know about that one, brother. I don't know about that one. You know why? Because first of all, I expected a slightly, at least a slightly better performance from the Bucks defense, especially from that run defense. The KC ran the ball 37 times, 5.1 a pop on the ground. That's damn good for Andy Reid. You tell me that before the game, I'm telling you, Andy Reid's team is winning because I know Pat and what the passing game gonna do 9 times out of 10. But if you get that out of the running game, and I gotta say this, brother, that Pacheco kid is nice. I like that boy, man. I thought when I first seen him play or just seen his body type before I seen him actually run, and then they set his size and weight at like 215. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm thinking he like a big power back. Man, no, this boy runs a 4.3, 4.3, and he can move, but he runs hard. He runs hard, man. So I really like the Pacheco kid. Um, and then like I said earlier, Pat's just out of this world. But brother, I do expect a closer ball game, especially if these teams are both healthier. I think Todd Bowles will do some things differently on the defensive side. I think he'll have a change up or two.
Look, you can call this the fan in me, but I said it before this game, and I say it almost every time Pat plays. The only way that they lose is if they do something stupid. I genuinely don't believe that defense can stop them. I genuinely do not believe it.
Got you. Brother, I wanted to ask you one thing from earlier when we were talking about the Niners. I heard
Mhm.
Middlecoff was talking about this earlier on this podcast. I wanted to see what you thought about it because I feel like he has a point. So we all universally agree and believe Kyle Shanahan is one of the elite play callers in the NFL. He is, from a schematic standpoint.
Yeah,
But he brought up a point because Middlecoff started off as a scout for the Eagles for some years early on or midway through the Andy Reid's era, and he
yeah.
just said, when you watch Andy, and it's true because he had a few last night or the other night when they played. Whenever you watch Andy, man, it's like you don't say, "Oh, you watching Andy's team," and you're like, "Oh, on offense, oh yeah, that's Andy's scheme." It's more so like when you watch Andy's offense, you're like, "Oh, that's some new shit," or he got a new wrinkle or just something, a variation off of something you've seen before, whatever. He just got a new wrinkle every week. And it seems like Kyle has that too sometimes, when the play action, big play over the top or something hits, but it seems like it's also always the same play. It seems like more so Kyle sticks to his script and hit and within his scheme. It doesn't seem like he really stretches the boundaries and limits with those new wrinkles, kind of like Andy does. What's your thoughts on that, brother?
I don't disagree. In Kyle's defense, Andy has Patrick Mahomes, so
But
he
I'll
can
say,
do
but
that.
I've seen that same play calling in Philly, brother.
I mean,
Andy,
I
Andy's
think
been in his
Donovan,
bag.
I think Donovan McNabb and Michael Vick are still a cut above Jimmy Garoppolo.
True, true.
I
I'm just
mean,
saying from a
I,
scheme wise, I'm just saying
Kyle's is just
off
different because
wise, Andy calls that shit, bro.
Kyle's wrinkles
Andy,
are
sorry to
in
cut
the
you off last
run
name,
game.
brother. Andy's red zone offense was fire even back in Philly, bro. Andy shit's been fire.
Well, yeah, I mean, but when you got guys like Terrell Owens coming through there, D. Jack, Jeremy Maclin, LaShawn McCoy,
It has
I
fun.
mean, and also just to be fair, Kyle's is just different because Kyle's is in the running game, and it's more subtle and it's tougher to tell just watching TUTV. Um, but I think Andy's luxury is he has had great players, like Hall of Fame level players, and now he's just on another level because he has 15 now. So I don't disagree, but I just think that the circumstances are just different.
I will say, he might have ran it a little bit last year, but they're running it pretty heavy this year. I do like the wrinkle that Kyle has off that toss action, and the running back kind of sticks his foot back in the leg, in the ground, sticks his foot back in the ground, cuts back. That zone, it
Yeah,
gives you toss action, but it's
it
actually
does.
zone run. I like that shit, bro. I like that. It looks nasty. It gives the running back a whole, a few vision, a nice vision, field of vision, and gives them a few options with the cutback lane. So I definitely like
It
that
does.
play. Let's move on, brother. Another one that was in our Blazing Five. I really don't got much to say about this game, man, because we both the Browns came out losing early, but we both said, hey, man, it's Atlanta. Atlanta's going to do Atlanta things, but we also said, hey, but it's the Browns, the Brownies, man, the dog pound. They're going to do Brown things as well, and that's fucking what happened in the end. Pederson started off hot. He eventually cooled off, and they still freaking lost to the damn Falcons. I man, go ahead, brother, because I got on the Browns last week about their defense and the talent that they have. It's still mind-boggling to me the defensive lapses that they have.
Well, the Falcons begged the Browns to win the game, and the Browns refused. Amari Cooper was a bit of a no-show, but again, AJ Terrell. Um, I, there's really not a lot to say except they're just disappointing with all the talent. Like just like in the last like 3 or 4 years, like they've been disappointing. They have too much talent to have games like this. Like the Falcons are well coached, but they don't have enough talent. I don't care how many guys are out. The Browns are still a better team, and they should win games like this.
Mariota completed 7 passes, and they
I,
still lost. They still lost. They damn near gave up almost 6 yards a carry on the ground. I know fantasy owners is stressing the fuck out. Kyle Pitts, one catch, 25 yards, targets.
I told you.
Arthur Smith was it's Arthur Smith, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, what the fuck's going on over there,
it's,
man?
it's not his
You
fault. His
draft this guy,
quarterback can't
what,
get him the
top
ball.
five, top 10 to give him 3, 4 targets a game? What's going on?
I told you, Kyle Pitts. Every time you watch the Falcons play, he'll walk away saying he was probably the best player on the field, but he doesn't get the ball. Kind of like in Carolina right now with DJ Moore.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Cowboys, let's move on. One that we did hit, Cowboys cover for us, beat the shit out of the Washington Commanders. They're just not a very good football team,
nope.
man. And I gotta be honest, like I said, I believe they got weapons on Washington. We know Carson is what Carson is. He's a big play guy that will also just, at any given time turn the ball over. I think he might cost my guy Ron Rivera his job because this shit look like it's looking ugly and it's look like it's about to snowball or snowfall.
Few things on this game because this game is pretty simple for me. Carson Wentz is officially a shell of himself, and he has battered confidence. That offensive line is terrible, and he gets beat up, and he's losing confidence by the snap. Um, it's really it's crazy. The one thing that I will give him though, he did a very good job of pretty much avoiding pressure and getting rid of the ball at times, but they're just not good. And that defense, man, Rivera and what's his face dust up. That defense is just something else. They truly are disappointing. Like Chase Young is a great talent. They were bad last year with him, and I just yeah, they're just sorry. So I'm not even going to discuss them long any longer.
I'll say
Cowboys.
this.
Oh,
I
go
did
ahead.
expect. I did expect a little more from Pollard, man. Fucking Zeke, 19 carries, 49 yards, 2.6 on the ground. Give Pollard the ball more. And I'm a Zeke fan, especially from
Oh
college and
yeah,
early on in his career. I love Zeke,
I love
man,
them.
but it's
Yeah.
ugly right now. It's ugly.
Well, yeah, there's that, and then I think something to really look out for is the end of the Giants game for CeeDee Lamb. I think he parlayed that into this game. He had one big drive where I think he had three straight catches, and it's going to be interesting to see if he really is a number one. He has the talent, I think, but I just want to see it next week because next week, because Washington doesn't have any corners, he gets J Ram next week, so that's going to be a great matchup to watch. And credit to Hooper Rush and the Cowboys. They're playing good complementary football, and they're just getting the job done. So credit to them.
Let's move on to another game. This game actually wasn't on our Flaming Five. I gotta bring it up because Bay team used to be a Bay team, but we got a lot of Raider fans, so we gotta talk about this. I'm gonna get on McDaniel's and the Raiders in a second. I'm gonna start here with Daniel Hackett, Russell Wilson. You have 12 first downs versus the Raiders defense. 12 first downs. I need. I forgot. I didn't get a chance to look this up. I just put the question down and asked myself because I really asked myself this question in my head, brother. After I heard Sherman in the crew talking about his Seahawks in that game with the Lions, I was like, man, who the fuck is the line? First of all, shout out Dan Campbell because that man just has his team always ready to play. They fight and come back no matter what. But
Yeah.
who's their OC? I really want to know because how do you put up 45, 40 some points without your number one receiver and your number one running back? The two guys that account for 75% of their offense, brother. I'm around St. Brown and DeAndre Swift. For this so far for this season, before coming into this game, they accounted for 75% of their offense, and they still put up 45 points.
Well, they were playing
Sut,
the Seahawks, so that does help.
okay, but still, weapons. Sutton,
No, not sure.
Judy, Williams before he got hurt, Melvin Gordon, night and day better. Come on, bro. Come on. Especially without St. Brown and Swift there. I I don't understand what's going on with Denver, man. Hackett, I don't believe he's gonna make it after year one, brother. I'm gonna be honest. Me personally, I don't think he makes it past year one.
I think he does just because the AFC West right now for second is wide open. Chargers are really banged up. I know they still got talent, but they're really banged up at a lot of key positions from players that they thought were going to have big years. The Raiders are a work in progress, and Denver's schedule, from what I remember, is favorable. And a lot of the things that Denver has going on, it is correctable. Um, and I do think that if Russ is able to take more control, it'll at least just look better at times, or at least look more cohesive at times.
And he did late because I thought he almost was gonna bring him back, brother. He let him in rushing.
Yeah, but I just well going to yeah yeah it's hard. A lot
Have
of it
you at
is
least
Hackett. Part of it is like a small bit is Russ,
you
but
so that? And I was just
the
about to
he's
ask you
not the
that.
problem.
And I was just about to ask you because you kind of keep waffling back and forth for me. I've already settled damn near after game one. I think it's a Hackett issue, and that's why I think he's gone after year one. Where do you see that? Because especially after not this past game, but the week before, the late plays that Russ makes to beat the Niners, and then this past week, the late plays that Russ makes to come back. Because I thought he was gonna come back and actually have a chance. I thought the Raiders was gonna do what Raiders typical shit, blow the game. He was making plays and running around, showing old glimpses of himself. Even if it is a little bit of a drop off, I still don't
There
believe
is.
it's bad enough from just a year and a half, 2 years ago when he was fully healthy, still balling. I don't think it's bad. The drop off is bad enough to where you're saying, oh, they're struggling 12 first downs versus the Raiders. I don't see that out of Russ, man. I think it's a Hackett issue, me personally.
It's not that much of a drop off, but there is a drop off, so that is part of it. And look, I definitely understand the play calling and all that, but this is another thing that ex Seahawks teammates have said about Russ and his image. If you're what you say you are, or you are who you want to be, try and take a bit more ownership and really make those plays before the game gets out of hand. I think there is a little bit to that. Again, this is not his fault, but he's not absolved from this. And that's all that I was trying to say. Like, he's not absolved from that. And that's also, and also one other thing aside from them, Patrick Surtain is a top 5 corner, and that's not a discussion.
It's not debatable. Yeah, it's not even debatable.
And and when I say top 5, he might be top 1.
Yeah, maybe even top 3 for me. I got him top 5 for sure, without a doubt, and he may be even top 3. I like that young Bulls game. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
really love his game, his size and stature to his physical traits to actually his play. He really be breaking on shit, and they put him
Mm-hmm.
in man and they tell him go guard him for the most part. I'll say this as far as on McDaniels and the Raiders, brother. I'll start off with this good thing. Gotta shout out my guy Jacobs, man. 28 carries, 144 yards, 2 TDs. I've been saying feed that guy, man. I loved his game since he was at Bama. I still feel like he's a little bit underutilized. But that's just because McDaniels. He comes from the Patriots tree. They use backs by committee. So far, it's been Jacobs, but they haven't really leaned on him until yesterday versus the Broncos. I like to see that. But as far as McDaniels, man, and Carr and the offense and the Raiders, Carr still don't see enough. I still feel like he's afraid to pull the trigger on the big plays. Always felt like that about his whole career. And then McDaniels, 2 for 5 in the red zone after being 2 for 6 last week versus Tennessee, and then after being 2 for 4 versus Arizona. You gotta be able to cash, man. You gotta be able to cash more. These chip field goals, Carlson ain't gonna win games for you when you playing these playoff caliber teams, man. Right now, the Broncos are reeling a little bit. They're teeter totting, flip flopping a little bit back and forth, trying to figure it out between their head coach and their new quarterback. I believe if you caught them on a better day, the Denver Broncos win that game, man. Because I'm not. I'm still me personally. I'm still not sold on McDaniel's, brother.
Look, I just disagree. Like, the Raiders are not as talented, but they've just looked better than the Broncos to me. And also, part of that is, I also have to say this, and you know this too. Sometimes your players, they have to just go make plays. A lot of their red zone, the deficiencies can be boiled down to a lot of physical mistakes and miscues, drop balls,
I was about to
batted
say, well, I seen
balls.
one or two drop balls for
I
Waller, but I seen a
mean,
few
I
batted
love
balls.
Darren Waller, but and
He be dropping
again,
some balls.
it's hard because he usually has a lot of guys on him. But when you're that talented and you're that big and that strong, and it's on the money, sometimes you just got to go make a play. And their guys haven't been consistently doing that.
I haven't seen him consistently put him in position to make. Like I said, I've seen a few drops, especially from Waller and in the red zone.
Yeah.
But brother, if you're supposed to be this offensive wizard, man, this top shot play caller coming from New England, you got. I need to see a cleaner red zone approach. Just something, man. Like I said it last week. I still haven't. I gotta go back and watch this past week's game a little more in depth to see. But I still haven't seen Devontae and Waller together on the same side. Some route combinations, trying to free those guys up, get them the ball right away. I know you're getting into Adams, but I'm talking about free. Why is Waller catching the ball every time with 2, 3 guys on him? Why haven't I seen a play scripted up for him where he's wide open? He did drop the wide open one though, in the red has them. But for the
And
most part,
versus Tennessee, he
for the
dropped
most
one.
part
He
though,
dropped
every
a
time I
touchdown
see
versus
Waller, it seems
Tennessee.
like he got hella people draped on him, or Derek Carr throws some tight shit across the middle that almost gets the man killed.
I mean, defenses. I mean, he's scarier. He's the scariest guy on that offense. So I'd have two guys on him too. Um, but I also think overall, the Raiders, they were on a magic carpet ride last year, and people overrated them. And I keep saying this: they're not as talented as what people think. They have some names, like a few names, but they're really not that talented. They're really not. Like they can't afford to have some of those miscues, and some of those miscues, I'm sure some of it could be on McDaniels, but to me, a lot of it's just guys not making plays. I truly like that's truly what I think. Truly. And I
Agreed.
also want to say this: the Devontae Adams in that game, just in that game specifically, I know he had 100 yards when they're moving him away from P2 and all that. Did it look to you that he was not laboring, but that he was kind of like lumbering? Like he's never been like a speed guy, but did it look like to you that he was kind of like lumbering a little bit, like he was just moving slower? Because to me, he to me similar to Cup, he kind of looks worn out too. Seriously.
Not as much as Cup to
Yeah, like
me.
not as much, but like he
Not as
does
much as
to
Cup
me.
to me, and the only reason why I won't fully agree is because I do like the way McDaniels is using them so far, as in similar fashion with McVay and Cup. They're moving them all around the place. Like they got them in the slot, outside. They're just moving them up all around to free them up a little bit. So that's why I can't say that. I know you've been heavy on Tay. Him and Aaron Rodgers just at the end of the day missing each other. To me, you've heard my point of view, brother. I'm not big. I'm not sold on McDaniels. Even though I did just say I like the way he's using him as far as moving Adams around. McDaniels moving Adams around, but as far as running things as a head coach, I'm still not feeling McDaniels. Me personally.
Look, I think Devontae Adams is a great player, but I think part of why I rated him at ninth was me kind of trying to like push back on this consensus that he is the best receiver. And I personally just don't feel that way. Like let's say he is just automatically a top 5 or top 3 receiver. I don't think it's such like a consensus the way people were making it out to be. I always just felt like that was a way for people to knock Aaron Rodgers. I still think he's a great player, but I do think a lot of like what made him, quote unquote, was number 12. And I think obviously Aaron misses him, but I do think Devontae is going to miss him more than Aaron misses him.
Got you. Got anything else on this game, brother?
No, no, that's it. It's just two mediocre teams.
Let's move on, man. We got two more games that was on our Flaming Five, but let's get to one game that wasn't. Buffalo at Baltimore. They go on the road. They pull out a close, good game, man. Real good game down to the wire. I will say this, brother. I'm okay. And I want to hear your point of view next. I'm okay with Harbaugh's decision, man, to go for it on fourth. The Bills defense was banged up. They're still missing Oliver and Hyde in the back end. Your offense wasn't really doing much, especially in the second half for Baltimore. And look, they for the most part they held Lamar in check for the most part. I definitely want to tip my hat to Leslie Frazier. I think he did a damn good job, especially for playing short-handed on the defensive side of the ball. But I'm not mad with Harbaugh, man, just because 3 points won't beat the elite quarterbacks. Not in today's NFL. I know he's an alien, but he just showed y'all last year in the playoffs. He set the bar. Fuck, you can win in 13 seconds nowadays. With Patrick Mahomes,
Mm-hmm.
Josh Allen showed you he can drive down, go get three. So I honestly love the aggressive approach from Harbaugh. And then again, you gotta think, man, this fucking rookie college coordinator McDonald or Mike McDonald, whatever his name is for fucking Baltimore, he pissing me off, and the Baltimore defense is pissing me off. They've been leaky as hell all year, letting comebacks happen. I can't fault Harbaugh for saying, "Hey man, I'm about to put this ball in number eight's hand." my MVP quarterback and tell him to go win this game for me. The only way I see it where I believe Harbaugh can be a little wrong, because I think I seen Michael Irvin or somebody brought this point up, is just as far as the mystique of the Ravens and who and what the Ravens are and what they supposed to be. We all know their brand is similar to, even the Steelers, with even all these electrifying receivers they've had the last few years. We still call them the steel curtain, right? They're known for their defense. It's the same thing with Baltimore. They're supposed to be known for their defense, man. But in that time and moment, I'm not mad at Harbaugh, and I'm not gonna fault him because the defense hasn't shown up this year so far.
I mean, I get the argument for taking the 3. I totally get it, but I'm fine. Look, at the end of the day, if his best player wasn't late on that throw, and if it's an incomplete pass, I mean, they have to drive it 98 yards. So I don't hate it. And I get some people trying to knock their defensive coordinator. Like I keep saying with other teams and their coordinators and coaches, if you don't have talent, it's hard to call up stuff.
Well, they ain't got don't have
They
the pass
can't
rush. That,
they
but
can't
brother,
rush
they got
the
too much
passer.
talent on that back end. They just don't got the pass rush though.
They can't rush the passer.
You need
And
it.
I don't care how good Marlon Humphrey is and how good Peter, especially when
Motherfucker
they're
can't
coming off
cover
an
all day.
injury and like they're not themselves quite yet. It's too hard in this day and age in the NFL to cover for more than 3 seconds. The
Facts.
receivers are too good, the quarterbacks are too good, the
That's
schemes are too
facts.
good. And if you
That's
can't rush the passer, and they can't rush it with even while blitzing. Like
that's
they
when you
can
know you're
send
bad.
like they can send like 7 guys and they still can't get there. So it doesn't matter. Like
Yeah.
they just don't have the outside of Adolphe Owe, they have nobody on that front 7. Nobody. Nobody. And I'm just gonna keep it real. But that back end at this moment in time
Don't look good.
is Marlon Humphrey and everyone else.
Shit, I'm
Kyle
throwing his ass. I'm
Hamilton
throwing his
getting
ass in there because they're part of the unit. The whole back end looks shitty to me.
but again, he's asked to do so much crazy stuff, and like he holds up his end of the bargain more so than anyone else. Like Kyle Hamilton's been solid. Marcus Peters,
Poor
this
rookie.
game he's starting to look better, but he's still not Marcus Peters.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, they're not good, and if they make the postseason, is literally going to literally be because of that guy at quarterback, and that's it.
That, and then the defense, if they want any type of action, because I had this team being a contender because I thought the defense would be real. If they want any contending action, I think they should still be able to squeak into the playoffs, and it'd be mainly because of Lamar, like you said.
Hmm.
But if they want any title hopes again, is it McDonald?
Hmm.
Yeah, McDonald and that defense is gonna have to get it together, man, at some point. And like I said, we can. I believe they have the opportunity to get better as the season goes, because they got guys coming off of major injuries. That you a point that you something you pointed out last week. We wanted to give them a little time to still shake back. So
I
we'll
do, but
see.
that front seven's not getting better. I'm sorry.
No, no, yeah,
I
you're right, brother. You
like
can't
I
cover all
love
day.
Calais Campbell, and I think he's a Hall of Famer, but he's 178 years old.
No, you're dead on about that, brother. Spot on. You motherfucker can't cover all day. Trust me.
Yeah,
Playing
yeah,
DB, I hate fucking covering longer than 3-4 seconds.
yeah.
Fucking
It's way too hard now. But anyways, that's it for me.
all good, man. Let's move on. Last two games that were both on our Flaming Five. We'll start with the loss because we can end with a nice talk about a W. Let's start with this Jags at Eagles, man. Whew, it looked good. It looked real good, real early. They were winning 14-0 on my Eagles, but that weather played a little bit of a factor.
What
But
a
it was
huge
also that
factor.
yeah, they, no, for sure played a huge factor. I didn't. I said a little bit because I didn't also want to discount my front man. My
No,
front
no,
seven looked real too
no.
at the same time. They like the weather did play a little bit of a factor on those fumbles, but that pressure and those sacks, man, that front seven, that Eagles front seven was causing havoc all day. and we had 4 sacks, 4 fumbles on Lawrence. We really showed grit and that we can win in different ways, man. Because, like I said, I was scared early. We were down 14-0. We come out, get swung in the get punched in the mouth, and we responded, man. And early on, tried to throw the ball, quick game, try to use some screens to get Goddard and AJ involved. Wish we would have been able to get Devontae involved a little more. But as soon as we realized what type of day it was, Sirianni and the crew and Hurts, they ran that ball, man. They ran that pill. And my guy, Miles Sanders, had one of his best days in his career. 20, 27, 28 carries for a buck 30, buck 27, and a touchdown, 2 touchdowns, I believe. The only concern I have, and I won't really say it's a concern, but the one concern I have as far as with my Eagles moving forward, and it's okay just because this game dictated that because of the rain. I still believe we're running Hurts a little too much. He had like 16 carries last game, and I believe probably like 8 or 9 of those was attempts. So 6, that's still too much for me personally.
I don't disagree with most of what you said. Just quick thing, I thought it was cool. Like right after I brought up Andre Cisco, he had a pick six. I loved him in college, so
Where did he play that in college? You did say that shit too.
he
That
played
was
at Syracuse.
okay.
He's a really good player. I loved him in college. He was a huge reason why Trevor Lawrence and Clemson always had issues. But the only thing that I'll add is whatever Trevor Lawrence did to get ready to play in the rain, he needs to do the exact opposite next time. And it's hard. It's hard to win when you have 5 turnovers. And when they're all 5 are directly linked to you, that's a tough day, man. And whatever you did next time, switch it up. And that's all I got to say.
Facts. Let's finish off here as far as talking, recapping games. Jets go on the road at Pittsburgh Steelers, and they win, man. They cover for us, and they win. My brother had them winning. I had them covering. Either way, they got us a W on our Flaming Five. Robert Sala, man. Robert Sala really has some backbone. He got that team playing real tough. Wilson has weapons, man. He started out a little rough, but definitely settled into the game. Ended up throwing the TD, caught one as well. But he has weapons, man. He really got some a crew of guys to work with, and this team should be fun, man. This team should be fun to watch. They're like, is yeah, they're no, they're both in the AFC. I was gonna
Hmm.
say they're the AFC of the Jags, but Jags and the Jets are like two young, fun teams to watch, bro. Like two young teams, young and fun teams to watch for sure.
Well, Zach Wilson is very fun to watch. The Milfinator is back, and his release, dude, his release, he truly can be a Rogers Mahomes type of thrower. He's awesome. Like I love watching him play. Um, and shout out to him, and then shout out to Kenny Pickett. It was a good
Yeah,
start for him. He brought a lot of belief. He brought some energy. I still don't like their play calling, and their offensive line is still shit. But one thing that I do like about him is he's very good in the pocket at pretty much creating lanes in space. So I think that can help him going forward this year. But I don't have a lot to say. When pretty much like when Zach Wilson needed to make plays, he made them.
yeah.
So
I didn't want
shout out
to
to
touch.
him.
Yeah, and I didn't want to touch too much on my guy Kenny Pickett, man. Just because he came in midway through the game, but definitely am excited to see him moving forward. I hope my guy Mike Tomlin sticks with the young guy because I think it's his time, his number. We
He
got to
will.
see we got to see a little bit of a George Pickens sighting. 6 catches, 100 yards, 102 yards. Kenny Pickens came right in, started slinging it to the young bull. That's what I like to see, man. So now we get to see a little bit of these weapons unleashed a little bit for the Pittsburgh Steelers. All right, you got anything else on that game, brother?
Uh, just quickly on those two quarterbacks, they're true. When you see two guys like that play, like there really are levels to like talent. Like all these guys are talented in some way, but Zach Wilson is just like freakishly talented. He like he truly is. Like I know a lot of fans, they'll look at the box score and like it won't stand out. But if you and like some of his throws, like they won't like notice like little things. His release on a lot of those short to intermediate balls, the way he gets it out and the way it just pops out of his hand, dude, there's only like two, maybe there's probably three other guys in the league at this moment where it really looks like that. Man, I cannot wait to watch him going forward. I love Zach Wilson.
I got you. Brother, my last point, or actually, it's actually somebody I wanted to shout out because we didn't talk about his team today. But I think we said Dougie P, right? I think preseason coming in, I had fucking Kyle Shanahan as my coach of the year. Right now, I think it's two early favorites, brother. Dougie P, Doug Peterson, and then Dayball, man. I love how Dayball got the Giants over there rolling. What's your thoughts on that?
They know what they are, and they don't try to do anything more than what they are, which is play solid defense, have Daniel Jones and Saquon make plays with their legs, and use their kicker and make games as ugly as possible and try to squeak it out in the end. That's all I gotta say. He understands he understands his team and he understands his players and he's able to manage the game. And that's a huge thing, just managing the game.
Got you, man. All right, let's go. Let's move on here to one of our newer segments. Most fun to watch, man. It was a pretty interesting weekend. Some good stat lines across the board. I'm gonna tell you right now, don't pick Pat. I know you was gonna probably pick Pat. I'm
No,
not gonna tell you to
no,
pick
no,
Pat
because that's
again.
too easy.
Yeah, I know. I ain't gonna lie. I wanted to pick Pat just because that spin and that throw to Clyde Edwards. That was some shit I never seen before.
And the
But
Carlton Davis one too.
yes, man. Oh my god. And then shit, bro. Pat's one of those guys. This is how you know he different, bro. Cause Pat's one of those guys where even from the Super Bowl when he lost to the Bucks,
With all his
when he didn't have an
incompletions,
O
those are
line.
amazing, bro.
Some of the throws, right, brother? Some of the throws he was making, like some of the shit that doesn't even work for Pat, still looks amazing. So last night he threw a ball trying to thread the needle low in the red zone. I forget who he was throwing it to, but I think Jamil Dean was in coverage. But
Yeah.
it hit two guys' hands, but he threw the shit so hard and fast, it bullet right through that shit, and his receiver still had a chance to catch the fucking
I,
football.
I think that was Scantling too.
Yeah, I think it
Yeah,
was. It was the second one. You remember? Because I was like, he
yeah,
was gonna cover for you, brother. It was to
yeah,
MBS. I was just like, bro, this dude is just different, bro. He's different.
yeah. But I'm gonna go with another Pat. We already brought him up, but Patrick Surtain. He when he was on Devontae Adams, Tay wanted none of those problems from him. He's 6'2", he's so long, but the thing about him is his match mirror is of somebody that's 5'10". So he's 6'2" with a 5'10" guy's match and mirror skills. I love watching him play. He's I forgot what I had him rated. I think I had him ranked like 7th. And just because I wanted to give some deference. But I should have just went with my gut and had him ranked in the top 5 and probably top 3 because he, he's awesome. He's awesome.
Yeah, for me, brother, I gotta go Justin Jefferson, man. Cause I
Uh,
don't. I guess it was probably because it was the first game of the day, and I just remember it that morning. But also just because I have high respect, and me and you both hold Marcus Lattimore in high regard. When you got a guy like that on his heels, man, to where the guy's eventually just throwing his technique all the way out the window by the end of the game. Jefferson 10 catches, 147 yards. He just looked magnificent, man. Nice route running. Him and Kirk Cousins got into a flow, and
Finally.
he really had my guy. It was a couple battles, but for the most part, he definitely
Oh
got the
yeah.
best of Lattimore.
Oh yeah. Like you think I mean, like you already know that I think Sean is number one, but not just that was a game where my guy was better than your guy, and Justin Jefferson was the better guy that day by far.
Robin Hood, man. Let's move on to Robin Hood, another segment that we love to do, where we shout out a guy, player, coach, team. I was actually going to go with a coach this week too, brother, but I couldn't remember which one that I actually wanted to go with. So I went with somebody else. I went with a unit. I went with a unit that's been getting a lot of flack, man. A lot of flack, especially early on in the season. When I look up and look at their numbers, it's not actually that bad, especially over the last few weeks, as far as getting better after each week. And I remember I believe it was last week on the pod, maybe 2 weeks ago. I brought them up in reference to the Kansas City Chiefs last year. Last year, as we all know, Patrick Mahomes had career lows across the board, right, stat wise, but actually started turning up towards the end of the year and got really cooking in the playoffs. Remember, 13 seconds, unbelievable. But I believe part of the slow start to the season last year for Pat and the crew, even for Ty Hill last year, he came on strong in the second half of the year, was because of the new offensive line. Because you remember the year before they lost in the Super Bowl to the Bucks, and they damn near I believe they replaced their whole O line too, or maybe did 4 out of 5. The Bengals, I went with the Bengals offensive line, brother, for my Robin Hood, and I believe they changed 4 out of 5 as well from last year's team. In week one, they gave up 7 sacks. In week two, they gave up 6 sacks. In week three, they only gave up 2 sacks to the Jets. And then last week versus Miami, they only gave up 1 sack, man. So I definitely wanted to give them their shout out because I just believe they're coming out or they're coming together and gelling a little more. Like I said early on in that game versus the Miami last week, they were able to run the ball and Joe was actually getting a positive gain, stalled out a little bit in the second half. But I believe that offense is coming together, man, and they're gelling.
I'm not sure if you could still see me in that segment, but
Yeah, I
you
can
were
see you.
cutting. Oh, you could.
Yeah.
Okay, because on my end, I did not hear a word that you said, honestly. But um,
Okay. Damn. Let's
but
see.
for my Robin Hood, um, I wanted to go with LaMarcus Joyner. He had a pretty big day for the Jets. Um, he when you watched him play, like you felt his presence and like you saw him.
Yeah.
He's just a really good player. He's not a superstar, but he's a guy that any team would want. He can play the nickel. He can play his safety. He's very good in coverage, and he's very good against the run, especially for his size. So, LaMarcus Joyner is my Robin Hood for this week.
I like it. I like it. I like this game. I always like this game since
Mhm.
FSU, right?
Yeah.
Where Roberson came from, brother, for the Raiders. He didn't look bad either this past weekend. I like that return he had too, man.
Uh,
That pick return. I feel like he was with somebody last year that
I
was.
can't remember
Wasn't the
off the top of
Giants?
my
Was
head.
it Tennessee? No, it was
Honestly, I really cannot remember.
all good, man. Let's move on. We got one last segment for you guys today. Like we said, we're gonna start moving this Power Five ranking to the beginning of each week. So let's start here, brother. Let's go back and forth from five and work our way down. Let's go back and forth. What's your five?
I mean, my top three are the same, except I switched the order. I have Kansas City still one, but I got the Eagles two. I have the Bills three. Um, I just think the Eagles are a more balanced team. I Would I necessarily pick them to beat Buffalo? Not necessarily just because of Josh Allen, but I think just as a complete team, I will take them. Number four, honestly, outside of the top three, it's pretty hard at this point. Everybody's kind of either up and down, or I don't believe in them. So I'm just gonna go off. So I'm just gonna go off of teams that I think have talent, and they might not have played up to their talent, but they've still shown things that like I really like. So for me, number 4, I'm going with the 49ers. Truly am. Um, they're just so talented, and I think whatever issues that they have, they're going to be ironed out. And number 5, I have the Dolphins. I'm going to still give them respect and and put them a 5. There's not a huge drop off from Tua to Teddy. The biggest difference is Tua is going to give guys more chances to make plays. But across the board, I love the Dolphins roster, so I have them at 5.
Yeah, Dolphins is probably right there for me as far as 6-7 because I love that defense as well. I'm not gonna lie, I was really looking at the Niners because I got 4 of the same 5 from last. I actually may have all same 5 from last week. Just flip flopped it a little bit, but I was really gonna put the Niners at 5 myself. They just have a few too many flaws and things
No,
they need to correct as far as to be in my top 5. That's the only reason I didn't put them in there yet, and because I haven't also seen enough from my coach of the year, Kyle Shanahan. So I want to see more. But the defense is legit and they're real right now. They're real. That defense is real. But my top 5 is the Bills, man, the Chiefs. I damn near want to flip that just off of because of the performance that the Chiefs just had. I'm gonna go Chiefs 1. I'm gonna go Bills 2 because they played in a tighter ball game, but pulled it out. That was their first one possession ball game win since 2020, I believe.
hmm
I got my Eagles number 3, bumped them up a little bit, I think, or did I? No, I think I had them at 3 last week. And then 4, I got the Bengals, and 5, I kept the Bucks in there, man. I left the Bucks in there just because I believe that defense is still real. They just ran into a buzzsaw, ran into Pat and Andy, got 2 guys that wanted they lick back from 2 years ago in the Super Bowl. So I
I've
can't
I've
fault you.
basically flipped a coin between them and the Dolphins.
Got you.
I gave the nod to the Dolphins just because consistently across the board, offense, defense, and special teams, they've looked better. And also probably in the next 2 weeks, they won't be sniffing the top 5. So
Yeah. I just went with the Bucks, man, just because I still believe in that defense. And like I said last week, brother, right? I believe, especially if guys keep coming back healthy, I think Tom and that team will get better as the season goes on. We got anything else, man? I think that's everything, right, brother? We hit everything.
yeah, that's good on my end.
All right, man. Sounds good, brother. All right. Well, thank you guys for listening. If you please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow us on all social platforms at the 510H and at the 510 Huddle. Appreciate you guys.
All right, we'll see you guys on Friday.
All right.
We play for keeps, Cuddy. You ain't heard about the huddle fight with no with D-Lane. We tryna get it off the muscle. Walters caught the pick and ran it back without a tussle. Blow the whistle, coach is trying to get back to the huddle.